Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us on today's webinar. It's a nice day here in San Dimas. Actually, it wasn't too nice. It's going to rain until the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I'm very excited. My name is Ken Miguel, and here with me is one of Bolide's top tech support engineers, Mike Lugo. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's everybody out there doing?
Hopefully everybody's doing fine. Now, the reason why we're very excited for this webinar is we're introducing some new technology. Okay, so not only are some of this new technology very interesting as far as the background and where they come from, but I'm also excited because they actually make the dealers, the installers, and the end users life easier. So we're going to go over today the Bolide's new IP solution, which is the Bolide iPacNX. This is an IP camera and NVR solution. Okay, so again, this webinar is brought to you by Bolide Technology Group with over 20 years of experience in security and surveillance. We only have the latest and greatest in IP, HD over coax, recording technologies. Just want to remind everybody, we are a GSA approved vendor for video surveillance, and we're an ISO 9001 2008 certified distributor. Okay, so in this webinar, like I mentioned, we're going to go over this new NVR unit that we have. We're going to give you a little background as far as the line is concerned from the cameras, what their advantages are, as well as the recorders. Okay, why use the Bolide NVR? And the meat of this webinar is we're going to go through the actual GUI of the NVR. We're going to add some cameras. We're going to mess with record schedules. We're going to show you guys what every menu of this DVR does. And in the end, we're going to go over remote viewing. Very important in today's marketplace, how to get this connected to your customers' mobile devices. So if you guys have any questions, there is a questions box on your screen. Just feel free to type your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll stop and answer them as we go. Okay, so let's get right down to it. Okay, just remind everybody, our webinars are posted on our YouTube channel. So just go to youtube.com, search for Bolide Technology Group North America, and you'll see short clips of how to connect, how to use our app. Past webinars are on there, and some tips and tricks on our product. Okay, so this is the new IP solution that we want to spotlight. It's called iPacNX. So Mike, what's so great about this new line? I know there's all kinds of new resolution that always comes out, but what makes this line special?
So many different qualities. It's hard to even know where to start.
Well, let's start with the new compression technology that this adopts. So this is H.265 compression. So let's make it simple. What's H.265?
So to make it as simple as possible, H.265 is a compression that's going to allow you to transmit twice as fast at half the amount of data being used.
So what does it mean for you guys? You sell this system. The cameras are all 4 megapixel, but it's only taking up as much storage and bandwidth as 2 megapixel, right?
Yep.
And looking at the long haul, this compression technology allows us to make 4K cameras and have them functionally work with current technology, networks and things like that.
Yep. And this will be the new standard for the future. So you're going to jumpstart on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is available now. So stay ahead of the game, offer something different, and right now this is what's new and what's different. Other features I want to mention, like I mentioned, it's 4 megapixel. So this is ultra high def. The NVRs are 4K compatible. So feel free to sell them with 4K displays and they look amazing. On top of that, I mean, you have motorized lens on all the varifocal models, built-in PoE, SD cards built in, two-way audio, alarm in and out, audio in and out. I mean, all the bells and whistles. Okay, so that's the cameras. Let's talk about the NVRs. So what's in the box? Okay, so the NVRs come in a 4, 8, 16, and 32 channel models, right?
Yep.
So what's in the box?
So get a remote. You'll get a power supply, the manual, a mouse, and really important, the CMS software. If you guys remember, our last webinar was on the CMS software. We went over the DVR. It's the same software with the NVR, so it's platform's the same. That's going to help out a lot. Just a lot of installers that have multiple installs. And so, like I just mentioned, all these models listed are all compatible with the same surveillance client, which is the CMS. Keep that in mind. It's flushed all the way through. You can use any of these DVRs and NVRs all the same.
And this is something that, you know, people will like because you don't need to have two. If you're already using Bolide DVRs, you're going to use the same client software.
Yep.
Okay, so now let's show the GUI. So this is the main menu. You're looking at one channel hooked up. So let's talk about the menu, and let's start by how do we add cameras. Let's show our viewers how easy it is to add a camera to this iPacNX NVR.
So this is what you guys are gonna like the most. This is literally plug and play. As you can see, we have one camera already connected. That literally was, I plugged it in right before this webinar started, and it came up on its own. It's that simple. But let's say you have another camera.
So a great benefit if you guys are using the our 4 megapixel 265 cameras with this NVR. All you really need to do is plug the camera to the built-in PoE of the NVR, and it will auto-configure and it will auto-assign an IP address for the camera, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Literally plug and play.
Yeah, I mean this takes care of a lot of objections with IP, because some installers that are used to installing coax are intimidated with IP because of configuration. Back in the day, that's how you're supposed to set them up. You assign an IP address. You manually have to type it in for it to find it. And, you know, to some, that's, you know, a lot of work. So we're cutting all of that. And now it's literally plug and play. You run the wire, your network cable, install the camera, plug it to the back of this NVR, and you're done. You wait 2-3 minutes, and it's streaming right in front of you.
That's right. So what I'm going to show you guys right now is a little different scenario. Sometimes there's other cameras that you need to connect to the NVR. So, and that process is just a tad bit different. And so for sake of time, you already know the NX cameras are plug and play. But what if you have another OnVIF camera?
So this is if you're using another manufacturer's OnVIF compliant camera. Make sure that the camera is OnVIF compliant. Yeah. What version?
2.4 S, profile S is what we're looking for.
Or higher?
Or higher.
Okay. This our new line is up to what?
2.4.
2.4?
Yep.
Profile S?
Yep.
Okay. We got a question here. IP address and unique port. Does it take up a unique IP address and a unique port?
Yes, it does.
Plug in the camera? Yes,
it does. So, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys right now. I'm going to skip ahead in the menu real quick just to show you that there is a switch section in under network. This is really important when you want to do OnVIF cameras. By default, this will be on auto. You have to worry about nothing. So we're changing it to manual to add this camera. That's it. You save it, it'll restart, and that'll be on manual. That's all you got to do there. So let's get back to adding this camera. So there it is. You see that I've added the second camera. Also, you can see here that there is a 32 channels here. It's a 16-port PoE. So the first 16 channels will be the PoE switch. Let me show you my IP here. Of course, your default mask is always 255, 255, 255. Done. Okay. Okay. So anything off the PoE is going to start at channel 17 and so forth.
Okay, so one of the best things about this NVR is what we call throughput. Okay, what that means is this NVR is technically overpowered at this point. If you look at the bottom there, go to total bandwidth. It's 320 Mbps throughput. Okay, so just to give an idea, we have one camera plugged in. This is a 4 megapixel H.265, and it's only taking up 5.25 Mbps. So even if you have 32 4 megapixel 265 cameras plugged in, it will still not eat up, the throughput of this NVR. So why is that? Because this NVR is ready for 4K. Okay, sell it now. The cameras are 4 megapixel. Later on, when I believe within the next 2 years, the 4 megapixel camera, 4K cameras are going to be standard. Of course, everything has to, come up to that level as far as structures and data speed, but these are ready for the future. So keep that in mind, guys. That's huge. You might see other NVRs there that say supports up to 4 megapixel, but what you really want to show is at what resolution does every camera max out at.
Yes, it's very important. If you guys haven't had a chance to see these on a 4K monitor, it's amazing. It's really amazing to think that these are CCTV cameras. It's pretty interesting. So
let's show the menus.
So you can see we have, other than that, we have live. What is live? Live is what's actually being shown on the screen.
So this is under so the first thing that you see when you open up go back to the main screen, get off of that. So you right click on the screen, you click on main menu. This is the first thing that you see.
Yeah.
So the first menu item is parameter, and under that is display settings. So let's go over what's underneath display settings. We already showed you IP cameras where you add cameras, and then next is live.
So yeah, live is your on-screen display. Channel name, show time. You can name the camera here. Format of the date, format of the time. You can go 12 or 24. Refresh rate, you can leave that alone. Ours is NTSC, which is 60. And then position and color of where you want the actual on-screen display to be shown. This next menu, output, is very important. Very important. As you can see now, I have it set to 1920 by 1080, but you have many options, all the way up to 4K. The reason why I say this is very important, because if they have an older style monitor TV that is lower than what you have it set to, by default it comes 1080, it's not going to display. So you want to make sure that you know what the resolution of the monitor is. Of course, 1080 is going to be the standard nowadays, and you want the best resolution you can for your customer. So just keep that in mind. Also in the screen,
the best scenario is sell this NVR with a 4K display.
Yes.
It's going to look great. As installers, you always want to find an edge against your competition. And if everybody is selling 1080p, especially on the IP side, you're selling a higher end product. So if you can separate yourself by selling a 4K enabled system, then I mean the price point is comparable to 2 megapixel. I tell you guys that right now. But having that edge, you know, that might be the difference between you getting the job or not. So go back to live output. All right, so keep going.
Yeah, so you see there's a sequence. So if you have your cameras doing sequence, you can control the time that you want each sequence of cameras to display. You can change that to how many views you want as well.
So we can do what? We can do a single channel view, a sequence, a quad view.
Yeah, and they go
a 9-channel view.
10, all the way up to 25 at a time. And different configurations. You can see it's kind of hard to see the exact display and how it will be displayed, but if you can kind of see the little squares there, it shows you how it is, but all the way up to 25 in the sequence. And that's it for this particular, oh, and then the transparency, that is just the menu. You can see how that starts to get a little transparent. I like it here so I see what I'm doing. That's it for the output.
If you guys notice, if you guys have used our DVRs, even the GUI is almost exactly the same. So this is great because you don't need to relearn a whole new GUI.
Yeah.
It's got the same plus a few more extra menus dedicated to IP systems and just the flexibility of that. And one example is this image control menu. So go to image control.
Exactly. So image control basically is going to give you the ability to do the changes that you would have to do through a camera, log into the camera's GUI, and make all these changes you can now do in the NVR. Things like flip or mirror the image, IR control, backlight compensation, 3D noise. The cameras, all the cameras
Rotate,
do have a
rotate the camera.
Yeah, rotate. Have a DWDR function.
Okay, that's another great thing. So this particular line of IP cameras have true wide dynamic range. So the cameras are, I believe, over 100 dB. So all you have to do is go into the camera's menu, or in this case, the NVR, and enable WDR.
Yep. White balance, shutter control, exposure time. So all the bells and whistles you have inside of the camera, and you need to control from the camera, you can now control from the actual DVR. It's a major plus.
And Mike, this is like really the advantage of utilizing an IP system, because you have so much flexibility and so much control for every camera. I mean, really, not only are you getting the better resolution, there's more control over even the small details.
Yeah, and keep in mind the cameras also have SD cards, so you can also have that recording go to the SD card as well as the NVR.
Okay, so let's move on to the privacy zone.
So
mask areas.
You guys are pretty familiar with privacy zones, I'm pretty sure. Setup areas. I can set certain privacy areas throughout my image. I have a choice of 4 that I can do. And you just enable that. That's simple. Very easy to do. It's one click. That's it. So let's move on to some recording options.
So this is where you record schedules and resolution, things like that, right? So first is record. So what's the first thing you see there?
Pretty simple here. This is another key feature that is in the NX line, is you can set the stream that you actually want to record. Up until now, it's always been mainstream recording. I don't know why someone would want not to do mainstream, but it gives you the option. You can actually do a substream recording.
Well, mainstream is
your highest.
Up to 4 meg. Substream is 6.
Yeah. So you have the option to do that. Pre-record. Pre-record is 10 seconds. What that's going to do is record prior to an alarm going off or motion detection. Of course, you want to have that enabled because you want to see what's happening right before that alarm was triggered. The record switch, that's basically just on and off. Maybe you don't want that camera to record and just view live. You have that option. Of course, you can control each channel from here. The schedule. Schedule, pretty easy. If you're familiar with our DVRs, it's the same thing. You select what it is that you want to actually be working with. Normal, which is 24/7. Motion recording or alarm recording. and we want to do some motion, so I would just...
So let's show our audience how easy it is to set this NVR for motion. So you pretty much have blocks. When you see green, that means 24/7.
Yeah.
So you're gonna click on the yellow motion record, drag your mouse over the squares, and then what you're seeing here is it's recording 24/7 with motion triggers. So if you want it to be only on motion recording, then you have to click on the green, then take away the green blocks, and there you go. You copy to all channels if you would like, and then save it.
If you don't want to copy all channels, you can just do certain channels for whatever reason. You have that ability to.
To what?
To just do certain channels. Not all the channels. You want to just copy maybe 1, 10, and 11 or something like that.
So, and you can also, I mean, you can add some 24/7 throughout, certain times throughout the day, and then sometimes on motion. So it's just very simple to use. That's kind of what we're trying to get through here. We got a question here. Is pre-record coming off of SD card in the camera? Where is the pre-record held before the motion triggers?
So,
I'll answer this question. So the NVR and any recorders that have pre-record, there's a cache where it is saving recordings in the hard drive. If it's not needed, then it kind of goes away. It doesn't store it. In this case, that's coming off of the cache out of the NVR storage. So if you guys ever wonder, how is there pre-record when it's only recording when there's motion? It's actually saving some of that, but it's just throwing it away if you tell it to not do so. So that's pre-record. So it's not coming off of an SD card.
Yeah.
It's coming out of the hard drive.
So let's move on to, we see mainstream. There's all of our streams here. This is another important menu that we're going to go through. So you can see here the resolution. I can set it all the way up to my 4 megapixel.
So 2592 by 1520 is 4 meg.
Yep. And all the way as low as 720.
And what's the maximum frames per second here?
So right below that, we see our frames per second. So 20 frames per second at a 4 meg, but let's say I want to lower that. I want to get, maybe I want to get 30 frames or something like that. If I lower that, then I'm able to go all the way up to 30. So there's a situation where you might actually, customer might need 30 frames per second. They have to have it. You can go ahead and lower the resolution to 19 by 20. You're still getting HD, and you're getting 30 frames per second.
Well, 4 meg at 20 frames.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. What I want to point out right here is this right here. We talked about the H.265 technology. You have the option here to change from H.264 and H.265. Why would you do that? Like we said, H.265 will be the standard within the next couple of years, and it's barely coming out now. Some devices are not H.265 compliant, so you have the option to go ahead and lower that to H.264. That's why that's there.
Will this answer the question, will it support H.264 cameras? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Will this automatically configure if you plug a 264 camera to the NVR?
Yes, it will. So if it's 264, it's just going to take in the 264. It won't allow you to do 265 because it's a 264 camera. So yeah, you could give bitrate control, and of course you can do your bitrate to control your bandwidth. Of course, you want to have the bitrate match that of the resolution. 1920 by 1080 is 4096 kilobytes, and so forth, all the way up to 8192, which would be 4 meg. So you want to try to keep that consistent. And then substream, same thing. You can see that the resolution is not as high because it is your substream, so it's going to be much lower. As well as the same for mobile stream. This is new. There's another function that wasn't previously in our DVRs or our NVRs. So now you have a mobile stream. Why mobile stream? Because nowadays, when you're streaming to your phone or your mobile device, it costs money. Data is expensive now. So you have that option. You probably won't see the difference because your phone is much smaller than a 4K TV, so it'll probably look the same. So that's a pretty good thing to have.
Okay, next will be network. So this is, now we mentioned that these are some of the easiest NVRs to connect to a mobile device. Why so?
Because we have our quick connect on this NVR. Basically, when you plug this thing in, you're ready to go. You don't have to even really touch this menu at all, because it's ready to go. There are situations where customers might have a more complex network or a pretty difficult firewall to get through. Then you will have to go here and make some changes, or at least give this information to their IT person. 8 times out of 10, you don't. You just plug it in. You're ready to go. That's it.
Well, what he means by that is you literally get to the job site, you install the cameras, you take this NVR, hook up the Ethernet to your customer's switch or router, and
that's it.
It's on. Yeah, it's online. You don't need to do any sort of port forwarding. You don't even need to create a DDNS if they don't have a static IP address. Now, Bolide offers a DDNS, free DDNS service, but in this case, you won't need it. I mean, you can use it, but you don't need it. So we just want to make everybody's job easier here. And, this really is something that separates our recorders from, the marketplace. Even our DVRs have the same feature. And, dealers that use Bolide love it.
Yeah.
Probably the main reason why they use our equipment, because of the ease of hooking it up to phones or computers for remote access.
Yeah. So let me move on. We touched briefly on this menu here, switch menu, and I mentioned that by default it's on auto, and that's ready for NX cameras to just plug right in, plug and play. That easy. But I also mentioned about the IP address that is used when switched to manual. And you can see here there's an IP address, and it's quite different than the address, just so I can show you here. Why? Because this is for the NVR, and this is for the switch that's on the NVR, which is a PoE switch, built-in PoE switch. So this switch IP address is how you control the PoE switch IP. So there's two. You got the machine, and then you got the built-in PoE. This is where you control any of that. Once again, probably won't need to mess with this. Just in case you do, though, it's here for their IT people. They might need this information. Everything's here for you.
Email notification is the device sending emails and screenshots.
Yep.
And whenever there's a motion trigger, or alarm trigger, or any triggers that you set it up to send emails to.
And within this, you'll see there's an email schedule. It looks very similar to the motion detection, the recording that we set up. And there's motion, alarm, and events that will be triggered and send emails. And it works the same. If I want to add or take out, I just highlight, and you can see that it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, this eliminates some of the complaints with email schedule. Hey, I'm getting 500 emails throughout the day.
Yeah.
I don't want to get emails around this time. And this allows you to create a schedule for email notification.
Another function that's on our previous DVRs and most IP cameras, of course it's going to be in our NVR, is RTSP. What is RTSP? This allows you to stream live video through your website or through a GUI via server. And your string would be here. It's enabled. You probably would need someone who deals with a lot of web design and stuff like that to get it going, but it's also a function that is in our NVRs.
Okay, and we mentioned that we offer free DDNS, and this is where you enable that.
This is where it is, yep.
So it's actually what, Bolide DDNS?
Bolide DDNS. You sign it for free, add it here. Like I said, we probably won't need it if you're using the Quick Connect, but it's there just in case some...
You get this NVR out of the box, it's already set to DHCP, so you don't need to mess with that. Okay, under alarm, this is some kind of an important. So now we set the NVR for motion detection, right? But you also need to make a change here.
Yeah.
Under
so
motion.
We set the recording previously to record on motion, but now we need to set the camera to detect that motion. How do we do so? You can see here that it's disabled. So step 1, enable it. Once enabled, you see there's a setup area. Now what area do I want to detect motion? And that's going to be whatever I highlight in red. So I want that area there. Only things that cross this red square here are going to be detected as motion. Very important you guys set that up. Also, we have a buzzer. You can have the NVR set a buzzer going off, and latch time is how long I want that buzzer to go off for. Sensitivity, 8 through 1, 8 being more sensitive, 1 being less sensitive. I can have this alarm out. So my camera detects motion. I want it to sound my alarm system. This is where you would do it.
And the last part of that is record channel. You can actually set triggers to record, trigger other cameras to record.
Yeah.
If there's motion on channel 1.
Correct.
So, you know, there's some pretty good uses for this function.
Yes, there is. And last is alarm. So I know we're under the alarm tab, but there's also an alarm menu within there. And so what that does is set up the alarm function. We have alarm in and out.
There's external, if you have external alarm devices, right?
Yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of customers call in using this function. So it's pretty simple it's 2 wires. Alarm comes in, starts to record. Motion is detected, sends a trigger out to the alarm. It's pretty self-explanatory, and you can see it's pretty much the same, just like the motion alarm, with buzzer, latch time, post-record, and getting emails and stuff like that.
Okay, so that's the parameter. This is pretty much all the configuration that you need to set up, you know, before you leave the job site. Record schedules, alarm, motion, things like that. Let's move on to record search. So we showed you guys, we keep telling you guys that this is probably one of the easiest NVRs to use, and there's also one of the reasons why. So let's pull up a recording here.
So you can see that I have a calendar, and in the calendar in the bottom right, I have these little triangles over each corner indicating I have recordings on those days. So all I got to do is highlight that day and hit playback. That's it. That's simple. So that's from last night.
Okay.
Now I want to take this recording and I want to back it up or put it on a USB drive or something like that, a thumb drive. How do I do so? There's 2 ways to do it. The first would be, of course, I'm watching my video here. I can take the scissors, right, and take a portion of a video that I want. Okay, I want to start there, and then I could save it in AVI, RF, which is unused or unchanged video, a lot of uncompressed, a lot of courts, things like that. They need uncompressed, unchanged video, proprietary. AVI is universal, MP4 is universal, but RF is going to be more proprietary, unchanged. It'll hold up in court.
And how many cameras can you play back at once?
So, good question. As you can see here, we're just doing just one. You can do multiple cameras. You can do up to
how many channels?
Up to how many channels the DVR has. So, so if you have 32, I mean, it's kind of hard to do that. Trying to see all 32 at once, so we don't recommend it, but you can do it. Yeah. The other way to do a backup is to stop the video, and you see this little menu icon here. This gives me a search, a save, and a back button. So I want to search, and then you can see I have files here with times.
This is an event search, right?
Event search, or if I know the exact time that I want the video, and I have to search through all of it, I can just click here and back it up. So it's very simple. It doesn't get much easier than that to back up video. Everything's timeline based, visual, pretty easy. To get out of there, a simple right click will take me back to my menu. I just showed you the event search from the playback. Now we're going to show you event search from the actual menu. Same thing. It's pretty important. I'm going to point this out. So there's 2 ways to do it here as well. So I'm going to do a search. Okay, I see all these videos here. I want, these 2. I want to back up. Pretty simple. Tells me how big it is. Same thing. But what if I want to do all of these? So I got 4 pages of recordings here. I want to do them all at once. I don't want to.
So this is done. You're going to dump
the whole thing.
Channel, yeah.
How do you do that? We have a quick backup button. You can see that. I hit that. How big is it? 23 gigs. That's all the video that I have within this search, which is pretty cool. You don't have to sit there and go through each one. I want the whole thing. I'm going to take it all. Bam. There it is. So those are the 2 ways to get your backups.
Just be worried how long it will take to back up 23 gigs of
video. Yeah.
That's a big file, and you're backing up via USB 2.0 or 3. What's
3.0. We have 3.0
3.0
available on it. Yeah.
I mean, it's fast, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to pick up smaller chunks of video.
So
that's record search. So like I said, very easy. Just a couple of clicks and you get what you need. So on your device, so what are we looking at here?
So on the device, the NVRs have the capability of having 2 hard drives. It's up to 8 terabytes. So
8 terabytes per bay.
Per bay.
So 16 terabyte overall.
Yep. What this menu is how not only see how big it is and how much time I have free, but if you're going to add, in the future you add a hard drive, this is where you would format the hard drive. Here, I could set when I want it to overwrite. If you have enough space, 90 days. Auto is going to do the oldest recordings. It'll start there and go back. And then a quick format. That's it. You're done. Another option is PTZ. Now, this is cool. Other NVRs, I haven't seen too many that have this option. We have the choice to do digital, which is, of course, is IP, but we have an analog option. That's something you don't see in NVRs too much. Why? You can actually have, we have a 3 meg PTZ that has an analog out and RS-485 on it. So you can control an analog camera from here via these settings. So that's a pretty cool function that, like I said, you don't see in too many NVRs. It's usually just you have the digital function. Then we have cloud storage.
So this is just sending, it's like email notification, but it's sending it to your Dropbox account, right?
Yeah, and what is more of a fail-safe, you're going to get screenshots. If anybody happens to maybe take that NVR, you can still get the screenshots that it's uploaded into a cloud Dropbox, and you'll have some sort of something if DVR goes on.
Okay, so let's move on to system. So a couple things you want to know about on this menu is what?
So real important, time. I don't know how many times I see customers call in, can't find no recording because the time is wrong.
Yeah.
So this is where you'll set it.
Make sure before you leave the job site that the time is correct. Because when something happens, go back to a certain time, it's not the right time. So everything is going by this DVR's time.
And then so here we have daylight savings time. You can set it up for that. And then if they have a network time, you can set that here. Pretty simple. Users.
User levels.
Very important. You have to up to 7 users. You can set their password and username. You'll edit it here. Password, anything you need, be done here.
And you get different privileges, right?
Yep.
Depending on what you set it for.
Correct.
Now, how many users can log on a phone at the same time?
So when it comes to logging on, you can have 3 at once log in simultaneously. You can have as many devices as you want, but only 3 at the same time. Info, pretty cool. You can see that we have a QR code here. That's going to be, we'll show you that in a bit for remote connection. You also have any information you need here. Here's the QR number, all the ports that are being used, IP address, stuff like that. All you can find in the info. Channel info. This is going to tell you resolution for each channel, the stream that it's using, frames per second, and the bit rate. You get all that information here, and how much throughput you have left. And of course, log. This will log anything that goes on. Camera loss, reboot, you name it. Anything you could find here. Something happens, you can come here and see what happened.
This is not just recording. This is any activity.
Any activity, yeah. Anything that happens with the NVR.
Okay, so couple last ones. Advanced.
Maintain. This you want it to restart once a week, once a month, just to clear its cache, stuff like that. If there's any kind of firmware that needs to be updated, you'll do that here. Load defaults, also in the same place. Pretty simple, general stuff. Events. This is going to trigger the machine to do beeps for a full disk, which you should hardly have because you have it to start the recordings over. Disk errors, that's pretty important, and video loss. Customers call in, my DVR, NVR is beeping. Why? This is why. It's one of these 3 reasons.
Okay, so this is the main menu. So there's also sub-menus, so go back to the main screen. And what I want to show you guys is, I mentioned that the varifocal iPacNX cameras have motorized lenses. So go back to, let's show the audience what they're looking at there as far as the little tiles on the screen. So
this first one lets you change streams.
Right away, right?
Right away.
Maximize that channel?
Yeah. So I can change streams right away. You can see that the quality is diminished when I do that. It's a second stream, gets clear. Record. I can start an automatic record. It's already recording, so I wouldn't have to touch that, but if I had it off, it would do so. Instant playback. That's going to take me directly to playback from this minute prior.
So click on that. Take you straight to
what just happened. Right? Yeah.
That's digital zoom.
Digital zoom. Keep that in mind. Digital zoom. So this is different than what we're going to show you in a minute. That's digitally zoomed in. And then you can, of course, control your color scheme, your saturation, contrast, brightness, and the hue of the camera individually. Yeah. And most important is this.
So in the past, before motorized lenses cameras came out, you had to manually adjust the zoom and focus of your varifocal lens. No, not anymore. Again, we're trying to make your life easier. So what you do is you install a camera, put it up, and you go to PTZ menu control, and you just zoom in and zoom out.
And it has autofocus, so you don't have to worry about adjusting it once you do the zoom. Focuses for you. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty easy to use. Very user-friendly.
Yeah, I mean, it really solves the issue of with the higher megapixel cameras. It's kind of hard to get that perfect focus because of, you really need to fine tune, do a fine focus on it. But it's automatic, so you don't have to worry about it. It will give you the perfect image. I mean, it's got pretty good amount of zoom as well. So this really makes the installer's life easier, and you can allow your customers to zoom in and zoom out whenever they want.
Yeah.
You can just do this on the phone and on the software and on the DVR itself. Okay, so that's the GUI. So let's go ahead and show you guys what we're talking about as far as the remote access. So we call this Bolide Quick Connect. So like you mentioned, you don't need a static IP. You don't need a DNS. All you need to do is put this up, turn it on, and connect to your customer's Ethernet or switch or router. And then you take your phone, you download our free app. It's called Bolide Quick Connect. You add a device and you scan this QR code. Now, what makes this different from other P2P features of other manufacturers? Number one, it's fully automatic, right?
Yep.
I mean, others you might need to sign up for
cloud service.
Register. Yeah, you need to register in the username. It's literally you scan it and it shows up.
Yeah.
And you're not shackled by the DNS. So sometimes the DNS server fails.
Yeah.
You can't connect. So here, how does it work? This is connecting from device to device.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's P2P is peer-to-peer. It's connecting directly to the device. Like Ken said, what makes it different? Everything's done for you. Everybody has P2P nowadays. You still got to sign up for a cloud service or register or still do port forwarding. All that's done for you. It's simply it's not even take a picture. Just scan the code, and that's it. You'll see it connects automatically. It'll go straight to your cameras, in fact. Really simple. And really quick, this is just the back of the NVR. We talked about it having its own PoE switch.
Built-in PoE.
And there it is there.
So the 8-channel NVR has an 8-port PoE. The 16-channel has a 16-port PoE. We have a 32 that has a 16-port PoE, but will run 32 cameras, so we just need to provide an external switch. We are coming out later on with an all-PoE 32 channel as well. But I mean, it's pretty simple, straightforward.
You see the audio out for your audio functionality. We have an HDMI and a VGA.
Can you use them both at the same time?
Yes, you can use them both at the same time, but they do mirror each other. So also keep in mind that it's going to take the lower of the resolutions. If you don't have a 1080 VGA monitor, then make sure that they're both the same. In other words, using a 1080 TV, use a 1080 VGA connection as well. USB 3.0, alarm in and out, and of course the power.
Okay, so that's it for this webinar. Hopefully we show you guys some of the easiest NVRs in the market today. Again, everything's plug and play. Everything's easy to use. So if you guys need more information, here is our contact info. Email here. Our website is www.bolideco.com. Feel free to contact us for pricing and availability of these products. Of course, visit us on Facebook under Bolide Technology Group North America, on YouTube. We're also on Twitter at Bolide Tech USA. Again, thanks guys for joining us. Hopefully you guys learned about our newest IP solution. If you have any questions, we'll stick around for a little bit and just type in your questions and we'll answer them for you. Again, thank you guys for joining us. We will be sending out recordings of this webinar as well for everybody that registered. So again, thanks guys for your time and see you next month.
Have a good one.